Hey there, Cray here, back with another fan art speed paint, and boy will this one take you back. Outlaw Star was one of my favorite shows back in the day. It had this weird combination of space travel meets magic meets old western style bounty hunting that really worked for me. Certainly not the only one of its kind, mind you.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, it's jam.
But definitely with its own kind of charm.
Let's go!
Which, in my opinion, largely showed itself through the great characters. And I think my favorite character out of them all has gotta be Aisha.
Exactly what the hell I'd like to know!
Aisha Clan is not the greatest military leader that the Kataro Empire has ever seen. She's bullheaded, rarely thinks before she acts, and will easily get distracted by food, which she eats a whole lot of. I can relate. But she's also hilarious and super strong and a hell of a badass, which makes her the perfect addition to my cast of characters for the 6th fan art challenge. So whether you're brand new to Outlaw Star or you've seen every single episode there is, I see you, Hot Springs Planet Tinray. You will undoubtedly realize Aisha has a pretty big personality. She's loud, she's over the top, and she takes every opportunity to flex her Kataro muscles that she can. And come on, let's be honest, can you really blame her? So when working up thumbnails in my sketchbook for her, I had to draw her showing off those massive guns. I was aiming for big sweeping lines and a wide cocky grin to express that larger than life attitude that I loved so much about her. And once I got the general ideas I had in my head down onto the paper, well, the screen, that thing, yeah, next I moved on to a more finished sketch. This way I could turn those broader shapes and strokes into more recognizable forms and help my eyes pick out the lines that I actually want to keep in the final line art. And now we move on to the line art. Admittedly, this is usually the part of the drawing process that I look forward to the least, because it's hands down the most tedious and time-consuming step. Now, don't get me wrong, it totally looks cool in the end, but it's also where my more persistently perfectionistic tendencies like to muck things up by having me go over the same line over and over and over again until it looks just right. But on the flip side, this is also the step where those messy lines and shapes really start to come together into the character you set out to draw in the first place. I mean, right here, I love Aisha's fierce expression and her big wild hair and the way her muscles are practically bulging out of her sleeves. Those are sleeves, right? Like, are they sleeves? They're sleeves. There's not really a shirt. How in the world are they connecting? Nope. Not going to distract myself. We're moving on. If there's one thing I do like about adding line art, it's all the extra small details I get to add that I didn't really bother with in the sketch. Like right now, I'm drawing in the strands of her hair and the loose ones that are just barely pulling out of her braids. You know, details like that, or the seams in her armor, or the 1 or 2 wrinkles in the fabric of her sleeves. We're going with sleeves. Little things like that really help give a lot more interest to your character illustrations. And then lastly, the thing that I like to do is add slightly darker line art around certain forms to make them pop just a bit. It's just an extra step to trick the eye into really buying that this flat image exists in its own 3-dimensional space. And last but not least, we move on to the step that brings everything to life. Color! You know, looking back on it, I think part of the reason why I loved Aisha so much is because at one point I seriously entertained the idea of trying my hand at cosplay, and I already had a natural affinity for Aisha because her skin color is almost the same as mine. If I weren't in Texas and it wasn't the middle of summer, I could step outside and darken up just enough to match in a matter of hours. Shame. But now, when it comes to shading, I've been keeping these fan art illustrations pretty simple. Just a little bit of shadows where it helps to push and pull things in space, like in the hair beneath her head and the insides of her collar and bracelet. But mostly what I've been doing is adding a little bit of highlight around the different forms, especially in the hair and the eyes. I love adding highlights in the hair. There's something about making hair look shiny and glossy that just brings me happiness and is no joke my favorite step of them all. And now, let's look at the final illustration. Aisha was a lot of fun to draw, and it was a particular pleasure to revisit this show. Please give this video a thumbs up and go check out Outlaw Star for yourself. Only for the theme song, cause it's so cool. Ba-da-ba-da-da-da-da-da. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-da.